Welcome to class tonight. I do hope that you all are doing well. Now we're going to be continuing to talk about positive and negative numbers tonight. We're actually going to be focusing on adding positive and negative numbers, or integers. We're going to be focusing on adding them tonight. We're actually going to be going through adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. But tonight we're going to focus on adding. Now, as I mentioned, at least I should have mentioned today in class, it might be very wise and very helpful for you to go ahead and make or get out a number line that you can use for tonight's work. It's going to be very, very helpful. Now let's go ahead and begin. Now I want to start out tonight by thinking about this statement. You see the statement here on the board right there. You see add a positive, move forward, add a negative, move backward. So the rule, the big idea when we talk about adding integers is whenever you add a positive, you move forward on the number line, and whenever you add a negative, you move backwards on the number line. Now you can actually see here on page 497, you see basically what I just said right there. So this is a good example right there. All right, let's go ahead and practice some of these. First of all, let's go ahead and practice -1 plus 3. So we're adding a -1. So now I'm going to start at -1 here, and now I'm adding a negative. Now in this right here, we're going to use that line, that rule right there. Add a negative, move backwards. So I'm moving backwards 3 places. So 1, 2, 3. So moving backwards, that answer is -4. So the answer to the first one is -4. All right, next one. Let me erase this really quickly. There we go. All right, next one. 2 plus 6. Now, I threw this one in there just because we can get a little confused and we can mess up the easy ones. So this right here, all we're doing, look at 2, and when I add a positive, I move forward. So I'm going to be moving this way. So add 6. So what? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and there we have it. So we have 8. So 2 plus 6 equals 8. I added a positive and then moved forward. All right, my last example here, -5 plus a -4. Now we're actually not going to be able to do this one on a number line because my number line is not big enough. But if this is 0, I'm going to start at -4. So 1, 2, 3, -4. So we're going to start there, and we're going to move backwards because right here it says add a negative, move backwards. So I'm going to move backwards 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 places. So the answer is going to be -9. Okay? -5 plus a -4 equals -9. Now you see 2 key concepts on page 498 and 499. Turn the page real quick here. There we go. So on page 498 and 499, now you may not be able to see that on the camera, but that's okay. Just go ahead and look at page 498 and 499. You see 2 key concepts. Now, the first key concept you see on the screen. You see the sum of 2 positive integers is positive. The sum of 2 negative integers is negative. That makes a lot of sense. So, for example, 7 plus 9 equals 16. The answer is positive because I have 2 positive integers. Next, I have -9 plus a -7. So the sum of 2 negative integers is negative. So it's going to be a -16. Because once again, when you already practice this, you're moving backwards on the number line. So that is the first key concept. Makes a lot of sense, okay? 2 positive integers, positive. 2 negative integers, negative. Then on page 499, you see here, right here, you see this next key concept. Now I put this key concept on the board here because it's important. I will say it is a very complicated in how it was written, so we'll talk about it real quick. So the key concept is simply to add integers with different signs. First find the absolute value of each integer, then subtract the lesser absolute value from the greater. The sum has the sign of the integer with the greater absolute value. Now you remember absolute value is simply a number's distance from 0. That's all absolute value is. So the absolute value of this number would be 2. The absolute value of this would be 3. Okay? So I found the absolute value of each integer, so that's the first step. Second step, then subtract the lesser absolute value from the greater. So here I have the lesser absolute value is going to be 2, the greater is going to be 3, so 3 minus 2 equals 1. So So I just subtracted the lesser value from the greater. The sum has the sign of the integer with the greater absolute value. And in this case, the answer is 3. So the greater absolute value is going to be 3. So my sign is going to be negative, so it's negative 1. Okay? Let's try one more very quickly. I have negative 2 plus 3. So I'm going to find the absolute value first. The absolute value of this is going to be 2. Absolute value of this is going to be 3. I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to subtract the absolute values. Subtract the lesser from the greater. So it's 2 or 3 minus 2. You're going to get 1 again. But in this case, 3 is the greater absolute value, so it's going to be a positive 1. Okay? So the answer then would be 1, positive 1 in this case, and negative 1 in this case. Now I give those to you just because the book does expect you to understand these. My strong suggestion, use my little beginning. Use the rule I said at the very beginning. I'll go ahead and turn back to that very quickly. Add a positive, move forward on the number line. Add a negative, move backwards on the number line. That's probably the best suggestion that's going to help you out and make that seem a little bit easier. Okay? So with this, you typically move back 3 places, and with this one, you would move forward 3 places. Okay? All right, so that is the 2 key concepts. All right, very last thing before we go and wrap this video up. They cover some real-life applications of integers. This is key. Okay, so let's go and read this problem, and then we'll get started. This is at the bottom, very bottom of page 499, right there. All right, so it says, suppose you enter your frog in a jumping contest. The judge records each jump. A jump towards the finish line is a positive number. A jump away from the finish line is a negative number. So that's the rules. Now we get to the specific problem. Your frog jumps 4 feet towards the finish line. So 4 feet is towards the finish line, it's a positive number. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So our frog jumped 4 feet towards the finish line. Then he jumps 6 feet away. So we're going to have to go back because it says away from the finish line is a negative number. So we're going to have to go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going back 6 places to negative 2. So my answer then, the result, is negative 2. So that is it for the lesson tonight. We really do, fortunately, have a pretty easy skill in front of us. The key, though, is use the number line and remember the rule. When you add a positive, move forward. Add a negative, move back. Your homework for tonight is to do page 500, 1 through 18 even. Once again, page 500, 1 through 18 even. Have a great night, and I will see you all tomorrow.